Sean, welcome to your first official Winter Nutz Podcast.
On camera, anyways.
Yeah, on camera. You've been here for a few. You actually helped me put the first two together. We did a live one on my YouTube for number one with Blair. You were here for that. And we were calling you Young Jamie there for a little bit. You were looking things up if we needed to look anything up. But then you just didn't come around anymore for any of them. So we got you back into one. I would like to touch on, we have a winner. I made the post on Instagram for the winner of the Ghost Rider Motorsports helmet giveaway, and that was Tyler Bluen. So here's Tyler's helmet. Thank you to everyone that subscribed to my channel and entered in the giveaway. So he's got himself a sweet carbon helmet. He actually upgraded from what the original helmets were that they had to give away. And tonight I wanted to do a podcast on old sled films. And Sean and I spent a lot of years in our 20s drinking beers and watching movies. And
not much changed.
No, yeah. It was like the old original Thunderstrucks, and we were talking about our favorite one, all-time favorite, was the Evolution and Revolution from 509 Films. I wanted to touch on kind of a few other ones and what I thought each one kind of did and what my favorites were. But definitely Evolution, Revolution, those two, they had great music.
Oh yeah, they were a game changer. They changed how the sled videos were for sure.
Definitely. And they had like good music. It had the sound of the sleds. They had the turboed yammies.
The quality camera.
They had quality cameras coming out.
Yeah. Yeah, those were the first big changes from the original sled videos, and then just kind of progressed from there.
They did. They got, well, where's my 509 collection here? So Volume 12, I have them on Apple Music as well. 509's 6 is where I start on the actual 509 episodes or versions, so movie number 6. And then I don't know how they numbered them before that with Vertical Ascent, Revolution, Evolution. So for people to see, here's your Vertical Ascent, here's your Revolution, and here's your Evolution. And that actually was a famous sticker there, the little...
Pretty sure you rocked that sticker on the back of your truck.
I did have it on the back of my truck. It came with this movie.
Oh, yeah. What year was Evolution? I must have been in my 20s back then.
Oh, it was shot in 1080 HD. So again, like you said, they were getting into the good camera gear. Doesn't say what year, just off the back of the...
I feel like it was the first year when I built my turbo sled, so it would have been like 2009, 2010 kind of.
Must have been.
Yeah, it was right around that.
We didn't have the Polaris Pros in this. They still had like the Articat M with the big green hoods.
Yeah.
So that would make sense then.
Yeah.
Another one that was big and everyone watched it, and they actually went to a ton of movie premieres around the country, America and Canada, was Sled Necks. And I even had a buddy that I worked with with Finning. He was in the Sled Necks films, and they were big, like they were huge, but they just did a little bit too much jumping for me. So like they were good and they had a little bit of boondocking, but it was the jumping that kind of got me out of really watching and buying all of the Sled Necks movies. I only have 3 of them.
Yeah, they. I remember back when they had their own gear.
Still do, don't they? Or is that gone?
I don't think they sell their own gear anymore, but I remember guys rocking all the Sled Necks gear for quite a while too.
And that's what a lot of them did. So 509 quit making movies, and they have snowmobile gear. And Sled Necks had snowmobile gear and quit making movies.
Yep.
So there was, maybe that's kind of how they finished off a little bit there. One that definitely didn't make gear is Mountain Mod Manias.
Worst soundtracks in history.
But if you were big into the big sleds, this is what you got. I mean, there was Thunderstruck, and we get into that in a bit. But the Mountain Mods...
Mountain Mod was like a 3-hour video of whatever kind of music they could put in there that wasn't very good.
And it's like they had an editing program from the 80s, and they didn't even have computers in the 80s to edit stuff with.
It looked like the sleds that were in it in a lot of cases.
But there was nice sleds. So I've got Mountain Mod 7, 6, 7, and 10. Don't even know what 8 and 9 look like, but yeah, so those were mine. I may or may not have seen the other ones. I don't even remember.
Yeah. I just remember Buddy from the past was always in every single one of them. Guy with the sled shop there.
Oh, right. Linderman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, just saw him there on the drag races in Elkford.
Yeah, he always had some sort of rowdy farm sled in every single one of them.
Yeah. Brett.
Yeah.
Is that his name? Yeah.
Yeah, Brett or Brent. I can't remember.
On that, sorry about the poor audio quality on the last podcast. I played with it, passed it on to Blair Murphy. He played with it, and there wasn't a lot I could do besides just trusting that everyone's probably going to watch it on their phone. So I transferred the audio all the way to the left speaker, and I found that worked the best, and kind of took a bit of the crackling out of my voice more than Michael's voice. So nothing I could do. I was like, well, do I just scrap it? And I thought about it for a day. And I was like, well, I'll post it and try and put some other content in it, sleds, a little bit of video of other sleds, and keep it short. 10 minutes long, I think it was, 14 minutes long.
Can't do much both the way.
No. So anyways, learning lesson. So now I'm going to travel if I do podcast remotely with a set of headphones so I can listen to it ahead of time and realize what's going on. So yeah. Podcast number 10, a fail, but we're starting fresh with number 11. And I'll always have my audio tested beforehand. But moving on to, I think, one of the bigger ones that probably made the most money was Thunderstruck.
Oh, yeah.
He made a ton of money. He did a ton of movie premieres in a pile of different cities. He traveled around all fall and just pumped his movies up. They had some of the biggest riders. I mean, they didn't have Turcotte, but he had his own, big riding crew that they had. And I mean,
I feel like Yamaha was sponsoring them at one point.
I think Yamaha probably did in some kind of way.
Oh, wait.
Well, being Randy was like the main character, main rider in the film. But there's some big shoots.
Brad Story, all those guys.
Brad Story, yeah. I mean, even Crazy Canadian. I was going to touch on that too. I got the crazy tribute film for Dan Davidoff, and that was all just 509 footage, or I mean not 509, Thunderstruck footage put together into a movie. So yeah, he was a big one. And then they actually sold, and they started a backcountry guiding sled camp, kind of like the Burnt Backcountry, but it was a Thunderstruck one.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, so he sold out, and the people who bought it didn't make movies anymore, and they started taking that name into Thunderstruck Backcountry Adventures.
Oh.
Yeah, and whether it was successful, I don't know. I haven't looked. Should probably look and see, but I mean, there's a market for that in the States, and hopefully it worked out for them.
I think there's a market up here in Canada for the sled camps too. We're just not really pushing it as much.
Imagine if Muskoka started one.
Yeah, I think he's probably at the level now.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah.
I shouldn't say that he's at the level. He's definitely at the level. It's just, I think he's got the popularity now where people would be pretty stoked to go ride with this guy and see some of the terrain that
he could buy his own like Grizzly Lodge kind of thing and have his own lodge in the backcountry, and it would be like everyone does with Burnt. He just have to get a sponsorship and stick with one brand, but he doesn't. He likes that he gets to ride all of them and judge them, talk about them, tear them apart, whatever it is he does, or compliment them. And he doesn't have any real attachment to just one brand, which he doesn't have to if he had his own sled camp. You literally could have 4 of every sled and say, okay, you just pick. If you're here, you ride what you want.
But you remember some of his original videos that he started with his YouTube stuff? That's all he did. It was like, hey, come ride with me. And he got people traveling from everywhere that would just hit him up because he was riding every single day. Those were some of my favorite videos that guy did, was just like, he's out there and he's got these random Saskatchewan guys coming riding with him that can't go anywhere, just getting stuck everywhere. As he puts it, just being Jerry's of the day. And
just being the Jerry's.
Yeah. And
I never watched those early ones.
They're pretty good. They're entertaining. I really enjoyed the old stuff. The new stuff's cool. Like, he's definitely progressed a long ways. But the old stuff was entertaining because he was game. That guy was like, you want to ride with me? I'm ready to go ride. I don't care who I'm riding with. I just want to ride.
He just wanted to ride.
Just had the passion,
seat
right?
time in. And he wasn't that good back then either, from what I heard. And he is one of the best riders there now.
Yeah, like when he was first started those, he was learning. Yeah, like for sure he was learning. There was no hopovers going on or anything like that back then.
And now he's hopping over a 175.
But when you got a guy that rides, 80, 90 days a year,
2 days a week minimum, depending on conditions, probably 4 or 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And goes to Alaska. Did you watch that one?
Yeah,
pretty good. Makes me kind of want to go there.
I was gonna say a little bit jealous for sure. Unfortunately, work kind of gets in the way for the most
all
part.
black Cadillac. Nathan from Castlegar, actually. Well, he's the lodge. He's got a lodge in Revelstoke. And see, they all went up. They saw that Muskoka was up there, their little crew, and it looked good enough that he packed his crew up there, and they went up there as well. So yeah, a few people were, saw that. I mean, if I looked, I Googled it. It was, I think, 15 hours for us.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, no.
It's commitment now.
Yeah, in a couple of years, maybe when the kids are older, but not when they're at the age that they're at right now.
I was gonna say, if I was a bit younger, maybe.
Yeah.
Getting older now, traveling for 20 hours to get somewhere is getting a little much.
The only thing with Thunderstruck films was the music, and it got repetitive. If you watch the whole film, the films were so long because he did like the credits, or not the credits, but the sponsors, the introduction to all the riders, and it took it seemed like half an hour just to get through the introduction of the film. And then he moved through the film, and there was a long film. They had 18 different riders. And,
a lot of segments.
Yes, tons of segments. But it seemed like about halfway through the film, the music was all the same, songs. It just, and then movie to movie each year was not the same song from the last year's film. That was my only complaint with him is that he had a really kind of, his voice was monotoned, and some of my friends used to make fun of that and how monotone his voice was. He probably should have found someone to talk in his film for him, and it probably would have helped a little bit too, but he still seemed to do just fine. Sold lots of copies. If you didn't see it, you felt like you missed out.
Another one that come out there that was always really good was I believe it was 208 Productions that was doing them.
Oh yeah.
The guy from Coeur d'Alene, I think it was, that was doing all the filming for that. And their movies were pretty good. They were right in line with 509.
They were like the Boondocker, is what I think to myself.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, he was doing a great job with them. I'm pretty sure that guy put out one that was called, I'm going to butcher it. It's Winter Gold or something like that. It was only a few years back he did one. That one was pretty good. The Boondockers were pretty good. They progressed as well.
They did. I only have a couple. And All Seasons Motorsports, when Darren owned it, Darren loved Boondockers. Yeah. I think they used to play that on repeat on that TV above the door. And it was just Boondockers were playing all the time. And that was Darren's favorite. And
for a few years, all they rode were cats. And I know he loved his cats.
Boondockers were cats, and Darren loved turboed cats.
Yeah.
So that's... They were a good one though too. They were fun to watch. They were boondocking literally in the trees.
You got in this pile here?
And those were my favorite collection.
Oh, I forgot about Boost.
Boost, yeah.
Yep.
Boost 1 through 5, filmed by Brent Wiedemann out of Revelstoke. And that was the one that had the crew that turned into the Boost It crew. So Neil McLaren built the Boost It sleds, which is the turbo kit on my Viper.
Yep. Yeah.
And they had all the meanest sleds. If you wanted to watch the absolute meanest sleds, you would have thought Thunderstruck, but no, it was Boost, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
And they
I remember these
knew how to climb. They didn't go climb super chute like Randy did in Thunderstruck, but they climbed consistently every single chute in Revelstoke.
Oh yeah.
Every second weekend they were there climbing chutes. And they had a lot of fun. And I rode with a bunch. We did sled golf with them a couple times. Sled golf was you would split up your teams. Either we did 2-stroke, 4-stroke one year, and if you climbed a chute, you got a par. If you did a trick off the top of the chute when you got air or something, you were a birdie. If you got stuck in the chute, you were a bogey, and if you rolled out of the chute, you were a double bogey. And each team would pick 3 golfers, riders, to climb those chutes to compete at the end of the day, and it was a lot of fun. And that was with that crew there.
I'm pretty sure I remember one of the videos having sled golf in it too.
Yeah, one of my videos on my page here, if you look up sled golf, might be called Masters of Sled Golf. I can't remember, but there was 2 guys that edited it. I can't remember who the other one was that did an edit, but I did a couple and then someone else did. So it was Masters of Sled Golf and all the chute climbing, but kind of while there was no big iron ended, and there was nothing going on, and so that was kind of what got all these chute climbing guys out there again. Not a lot of people knew that was going on. We kind of kept it under wraps.
Well, one fun thing that happened because of the movies, there was this like kind of mid period there where not a lot of different not a lot of guys were making their own movies. Guys like you started to step up. Helmet cams started coming out, making it way easier for all of us to film. I mean, I had tons of footage. I had one of the first like contour cams, and the amount of footage we got with that thing just because it strap it on and go.
Yeah, I bought one because you had one. I thought it looked great.
Yeah, I mean, I threw together a bunch of videos and like we just started kind of playing with them. And you had follow cam coming out. He was doing the same thing, and just more and more people as the helmet cams got better and better. Everybody started putting out some more footage, and then you take off into like the whole YouTube thing where everybody can start up their own channel. And then you got to see a lot of good stuff starting popping up.
And you could have 2 different angles. So even if you had a guy filming something, you had then a second angle of your helmet cam. Yeah. So it was kind of cool to be able to put the 2 together, and that's when that type of editing really came out. When I first started editing, I never really did that. I was like this kind of cropped together and put into a film. But now you're like, okay, well now you have this and the helmet cams. You're kind of alternating back and forth between the camera and then the helmet cam when someone's riding through the trees or if they're climbing a chute.
Oh, I still remember when we were sitting up in heaven that time. You wanted to go climb that little narrow chute, and I had my helmet cam and you had yours with you. I'm like, let's strap this thing on you backwards and see what happens. It ended up being some of the coolest footage because when you came off the lake, and all of a sudden everybody's just getting smaller and smaller and smaller. They're like the size of an ant, and you're crawling up, and you could switch back to the other view, and it's just this little crack in the mountain that you went up.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I totally forgot that I had 2 cameras on for that. I don't even know where that footage is.
I've got it kicking around.
Yeah, so. I bet you I do. I'll see if I can dig it up.
I think it's still on YouTube, actually. It might be on my channel, actually. But
I need to share as well that, yes, there's Winter Nutz movies. Most of the people that watch this podcast on a regular basis know my history, and that was Winter Nutz Films. I didn't have any copyright issues. I just picked what music I wanted to pick because I wanted to make a sweet movie, and it was going to be a big party just to ramp the season up in Cranbrook. Went to Revelstoke Film Festival. You didn't have to worry about selling it because I wasn't getting my copyrights for the music. So I didn't sell it. I would take donation. People used to give me money here and there kind of thing, but most of it was just like, take a couple copies if you want.
Pay for the disc, basically.
Paid for the discs,
Back when the DVD was the thing.
So there's a few copies uploaded onto YouTube. I used to have them all. Then I was kind of like, well, I got all these copyright things. And I was like, if I ever want to make money on YouTube, I need to not have any copyrights. And then I started being like, again, why do I even care if I make money on YouTube? So I uploaded them all again. They used to have like 20,000, 30,000 views. Oh, yeah. And I'm at like a whopping like 400 or 500 for each one now again, but whatever. They're there if people want to watch them.
When we first started doing it, I did a bunch of filming for you. I can remember it was like, there was some excitement behind it for sure. It was like, we wanted to get some good footage because, I mean, there wasn't a lot of people out doing it yet, and especially from this area. And it was always about, I can't wait for the party because you'd throw your party where you'd release it at some bar.
The movie premiere at Dewey's Pub.
And what a sloppy mess that would end up as. We'd give away some prizes, have a good night.
Yeah. Guys would come down from everywhere to go to that. It became a really well-known event.
Oh, even the amount of girls that would show up for it back then.
Yeah,
that place was packed.
It was.
Your parents would show up. Their friends would show up.
Oh, yeah.
Every age group. And
brought the sleds in.
Oh,
my nitro was always in on display. We were actually dancing on the dance floor after with my sled right there.
Yep.
It was girls dancing on my sled, and
Unfortunately, I think the last premiere I went to of yours, we ended up getting a little too drunk, tipped tables over and everything else trying to get out of there that night. But that's because I was hanging out with your brother, so.
Oh, yeah, Trav was always a mess.
Yeah, he helps.
One of them was...
Colton helped that night, too.
Yeah, we actually got in a brawl outside the bar. Not in a brawl, but a fairly large-sized fight. outside of Dewey's.
Yeah.
At like 2 a.m. after the bars were closed. And then it all turned into, well, where did Chris go? Well, Chris ran. Why did Chris run? Well, I don't know. He just ran. Where did he run to?
Yeah.
He ran away. Well, he ran to his car to go to sleep, I guess.
And it starts to make you feel a little old when you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's definitely a while back now.
It was a while back. I'm glad I did it. It was a lot of fun.
I'm surprised I'm still sledding, to be honest. I figured by now I'd be crippled up or something from it.
Yeah, the type of riding that we were doing, you're lucky to have not had an injury. There was injuries that were had, but nothing you couldn't recover from. No one was buried,
Yeah.
And there was way less avalanche knowledge back then too.
Oh yeah, you got me
Way
caught in a
less.
couple.
We used to climb chutes all the time, and like I kind of knew. I kind of taken some courses. They were no certified courses back then. It was just like a in-house kind of training session at Peak Performance.
Yeah, nothing official was offered around here at the time.
So it was kind of like we're really trying to teach snowmobilers at that stage when we were riding, and
oh yeah, we were teaching ourselves as we went, right? It's like, what's that thump noise?
Yeah.
Oh, all the snow's settling. This
and
probably
then
isn't good.
you go into the trees, off that one off fiberglass, and then as we're coming into the trees on fiberglass, I never would have thought that whole hill in the trees would ever let go, and it freaking all came down into the trees on us.
Oh yeah, we've set off some pretty big ones a few times we've been out. Oh, it's nice of your dog to lick my hand. Good boy.
You want to see it? Yeah. Say hello.
Yeah, I mean, I think back to where we started, and both of us basically on our vertical mistakes. Those were fun sleds for sure. That was fun. Like my first sled. Was my vertical escape.
Mine.
It didn't last well, but then I went straight into an M8. Probably one of the most solid sleds I owned, and riding with you definitely taught me fast because you had your trench machine.
Yeah.
And trying to follow behind you through the woods, leaving 4-foot trenches everywhere you went. I got pretty good pretty fast because I had to
bounce off these trenches.
Oh, yeah. I learned how to berm every one of your trenches.
Yeah, that was a turboed Vector.
Oh yeah,
which is the nitro engine but carbureted in the RX-1 chassis. So yeah, it was a heavy sled. Actually, for how heavy it was actually a really good tree sled. Like.
Oh yeah,
it was great in the trees. It's really weird to say that, but it had such a low, like that engine was really low, and it was good. And Bobby bought it off me, and it worked really good for him. And he never had, same thing, any issues with it. It unfortunately did die, but he had a lot of fun in the trees with it. I got some pretty sick footage of him in the trees, even like doing a little butt wiggle around some trees, looking back, being like, "Did you get that shot, Sheldon?" And, "Oh, I got it, buddy. I got it."
I think that one video I have that was done that I threw together when I was young. We put my helmet cam on you. We climbed up the side to get up above Helen's, and I think it was done with Rihanna and Eminem, their song.
Oh right.
And I think that was you on your Vector for that one.
That was a good one.
That one got so many views, and
Yeah.
I didn't even know what views
That was
were
the
then.
Facebook view thing, though.
Yeah.
See, a lot of views on Facebook.
I didn't even know what they were back then. I didn't even care, but yeah, I got shamed pretty good. Why would you put a sled video to Rihanna? Like,
It worked out actually pretty good.
For what I did with it, I thought it was okay.
I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
That didn't bother me that it was Rihanna.
It was funny. You only had so much music to pick from.
Yeah, you did. It's not like Instagram now where you have this whole list of things that are auto-populated for you and matches that they think might work good with your post.
Well, you had to go on Napster or LimeWire or something to steal it so you could add it to your views or to your video.
Yeah.
Because you definitely weren't paying for it.
Or do the YouTube to MP3 conversion on there and convert your YouTube video into a music file.
Oh, yeah. Good old LimeWire. Yeah, videos come a long ways. I was saying to you before that we started this, one of the big ones that come out, I can't remember the guy's name. He did the movie's Forecast. Yeah. He basically sponsored himself. He traveled everywhere. And I remember when he started, he wanted to do something different. And he was a snowboarder, and he basically made what was a snowboarding video, but sledding. Went down, he hung out with Brad. He hung out with a bunch of the racers from all over the place. And he put together a really good video. There was nothing that was out like that at the time. And I remember talking to the guy personally, and he said, yeah, he just didn't get the reception he needed. He wasn't sure if he was ever going to be able to put out another video because it cost him so much. And it was just all coming out of his pocket. But ultimately, he ended up doing the second one, Forecast 2.
Yeah.
Another good video, but it ended after that. I don't think there's a lot of money in the industry. Like, if you're going to try to put together these videos, you got to have sponsors. You would have to have a lot of sponsors
for you to go out and a ton of copies.
Yeah, if you were still going to be trying to be competitive at all and start to get out there, you'd be putting a lot of money. I mean, you just think about what it costs to travel now, let alone just sledding season.
Well, Sled Farm was one, I think, the latest film, and I think it's the last one, was the Sled Farm that I was in, Rising.
Yep.
That's, I think, the last actual movie. And it's done with DVDs. It was on a website. You had to pay for a subscription to the website to watch the movie. So it wasn't like you could have this movie at the storefronts, like a DVD at all the sled shops around Canada and the States. You had to try and promote it in social media and get it out there as much as you could for people to want to pay. And it made it really difficult. And that was kind of the end of sled movies there, with that transition from DVDs to digital. And if you didn't have it on Amazon Prime or Apple to buy it, and you weren't known enough, then that was kind of it. And Sled Farm now is actually on YouTube. And I feel like if you get enough views on YouTube, you can make a couple dollars. But you are not making enough dollars to justify filming in Trout Lake, Sycamoose,
or
Whistler,
buying a sled every year.
and buying sleds. All you can do is do it for the love of it and the enjoyment of it. And if it's something you truly, truly love, then people still do it. And Alex still does it. You know, I know Blair still does it, Captain Chaos. And they love it. They're not making any money from it.
It's Alex Hansen, right?
Yeah, Alex Hansen.
You know, and honestly, in my personal opinion, he's got some of the best edits out there.
Yes.
He is doing such a great job. I'm actually surprised that some of these guys that throw together these other ones aren't just hitting him up for some footage. But I don't know, maybe he doesn't promote hard enough. Maybe, I don't know what it is. He never got the popularity I think he deserves, because he puts time and effort into it.
And they had Turcotte in the Sled Farm Rising.
Yeah.
And something happened and went sideways, and Turcotte didn't promote it. So it never blew up. Yeah. And why? Maybe something happened. I don't know what. Maybe he didn't get paid or something. I don't know. But without him promoting it, there's guys like me and Con. And, Con's, a little more popular on social media. But still, a couple thousand followers. That's not reaching what you need it to reach when you're trying to say, hey, check out this film. You needed the Turcotte to really blow it up. Yeah. And it didn't happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I mean, for anybody watching this, go check out Sled Farm.
Sled Farm on YouTube. Get him some views.
Can't say enough. His edits they're deadly.
And it's even a couple years old.
Yeah.
If you watch any of his edits just on Instagram or A Day in Revelstoke, if you look up A Day in Revelstoke on YouTube, that's his most recent edit. That was after Sled Farm. And that's a frickin' sweet little movie he put together.
Oh yeah, and Buddy's got a personality and everything. His videos are good to watch. His edits, I mean, they're not the longest in some cases, especially the stuff he's throwing out on Instagram, but they're good to watch, and it's good riding. It's always big country.
Should try and get Alex back onto a podcast again. He's got some friends. I know Logan wanted to come on, so I need to get a Logan and an Alex, because they were the beginning of Sled Farm. That was his buddy that he filmed. And Alex was on the podcast. He was episode 2. Okay. I did him during the day one day. And then he lives in Fernie, though, so he's out of town. So if you do want, I got to connect with him up there. But he's got a sick shop. So it'd actually be a pretty sweet spot to do a podcast out of. It's really sweet.
I wonder if you could figure out how to do it up at the cabin.
I could do anything. So the podcast I did on location at the drag races was just out of my booster box. The only power I need if my camera is charged is for my audio box to connect the 2 mics, and that can just run off of a little battery of some kind, a USB plug. So I just plugged it into my booster box, and that was my USB power.
You bringing the gear to Sycamoose next week?
Any gear?
Your setup?
We're doing a podcast actually So Tyler was the winner. He's supposed to come for a podcast next week. Here, we're going to go ride at the cabin. Unfortunately, he can't come to Cranbrook anymore. So they're just going straight to Sicamous, and we're doing a podcast in Blair Murphy's shop that he has in Sicamous on either the Friday night or the Saturday night. I don't know what night we're doing it.
That should be fun.
So we're having a shop party
Sounds
at
like
Blair's
we're going
house.
to be doing some drinking anyways.
Yeah, we will be doing some drinking.
Nice.
I haven't informed you on that yet. Sorry.
Oh, I'm down.
So we're going to Sicamous next weekend, and yeah, we hope there's still good snow. We see it's puking right now. It's wicked right now, but you know what? It's still going to snow the next couple days by the looks of it, and it'll be good, I think, next weekend.
Oh yeah, it's a good ride anyways, taking the wives, so
Yeah.
get them out into some nice country for them too. But looking forward to drinking anyways.
Yeah, it will be good. So that'll be one of the nights will be a podcast night. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, thanks for coming on tonight, Sean. So
You're welcome.
number 12 will be in a week's time. So I guess we already got something to look forward to again.
I'll be there.
Yeah, you'll be there.
It'll be after riding, and
Yeah.
I might be slurring my words.
It's you know what? I find that there's more humor in a slurred word than a straight word. So
Oh, yeah.
there's nothing wrong with having a little bit of slur going on. Hit the subscribe button, please, if you haven't already. The more popular I get, the more likely I'm going to continue to do this. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.